Ladies and gentlemen, time for another What a Shout, which means we've got that Friday feeling, and it's a special show indeed coming for you this weekend. A little bit for everyone out there, I promise you. Myself, Dave Orton, back in the chair, brought to you by our sponsors, Bet365, all the big calls on all the big races. Now, we went stateside earlier in the week. We promised you a big guest. We've got Bob Baffert for you. Didn't I? A lovely Skype session with Bob on Wednesday night. All his runners were set. The draw was set. We'll bring that to you later in the show when we look at everything Breeders' Cup. In the meantime, however, we will be looking at some great domestic action as well. It's one of those weekends. There's literally something for everyone. We've entered lockdown. Sit back and enjoy the sport. Why not? And we can enjoy a great panel. Let's get straight to it then. Paul Kealy joins me back on the show. Paul.
Yeah, all good.
You well?
Yeah. Feeling fairly confident this weekend, I think. Yeah.
We had a double nap last week, didn't we?
We did, didn't we?
It actually won.
No, it was never in any danger at all, was it?
No, he's flying as he
He's a very nice horse, that.
We will get to that. We'll do the racing review, of course. I'm delighted to say, making his debut on the show, TC, Tom Collins, Top Cat, joins us. How are you, my man?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm like a kid at Christmas. Not only is my first appearance on What a Shout, but it's the Breeders' Cup this weekend.
And, of course, we'll get into that a little bit nearer the time, Tom. But when we went into lockdown in the spring, you took on the American tipping. The paper became only digital. You've always been a big US fan, haven't you? People see Tom on Sky all the time in the evening show, but a little bit about that. And this is your big weekend of the year.
Yeah, this is hopefully when I shine. I love the Breeders' Cup. I've been following the American racing for a long time, as I wrote in a column on Friday. The last few months has all been geared towards this meeting. Looking forward to seeing all the big horses run. Tis the Law, especially in the Classic. I love that horse. It's going to be a heart over head or a head over heart, depends where you go on the night on the price. The Europeans travelling across. We've got Magical, Tanawa, several in the juvenile races. It's going to be a fantastic weekend. I'm really looking forward to it.
So in the red corner, we've got TC, Tom Collins. In the blue corner, we've got the super heavyweights like myself, Paul Kealy, looking at the domestic stuff, Paul. But you're not a massive Breeders' Cup fan, are you?
It's not. It's not my cup of tea. But so I'm not an expert. I will not be adding anything to the
dirt races,
the form guides that you produce for American horses, because I don't know. I'll give you an opinion on a couple of the Europeans and etc. But I won't do that. That's the man you want to do it. And during lockdown, his profit figures at places like Will Rogers Down, because I'd never even heard of it. Until
Still haven't heard of it.
His profit figures were off the charts. Great, they were superb.
Yeah.
So he definitely knows his stuff. And that's the man to listen to when it comes to things Breeders' Cup. I'll have a couple of opinions about the Euros.
Yeah, I'm like one of these guys that I'll look at, set me a puzzle and I'll try and solve it. And I just love the night. You can get stuck into it at home. And listen, we're in lockdown. What a better chance to get some new viewers out there. One man who likes the Breeders' Cup from our sponsors, as ever, Pat Cooney joins us back.
Yes, I absolutely adore this meeting, and now, of course, it's over 2 days, so 14 races to get stuck into at the Breeders' Cup, and I love each and every one of them. I'm a huge fan of it. I love all the stats, and I love how the build-up to it, and I'll be feet in front of the telly enjoying every minute of it.
Great to have you back, Pat. So that's 3 for the Breeders' Cup, 1 not so sure. We'll convert him by the end of the show. Let's see exactly what's coming up for you then. Okay, we've got the hot topic, all about Lockdown 2.0. We'll get stuck into that. And then I've got the racing clues, of course, plenty from the previous weekend to talk about. What did you make of Cyrname? As promised, Bob Baffert comes. You can see there on the lineup. Bob got the What a Shout treatment. But first, we'll be looking at Wincanton before we give you, of course, our naps and the big calls. Well, if you've not signed up to our sponsors, Bet365, now remains a great time. Why? Because the referral code is still out there for you to join. It's SHOUT365, minimum £5 deposit for up to 100 bet credits. Terms and conditions apply. Hot topic time then. Second bite of the cherry. Yes, indeed. Last Saturday night, Boris Johnson came out, flanked by the Chief Medical Officer, of course, Chris Whitty, and Patrick Vallance, the science guru, and told us once again we'd be plunged into lockdown. Oh, it was a bit of a wait, but elite sport, it does indeed carry on. Now, you may have seen in the paper, our editor Tom Kerr came out and say 5 points that racing can concentrate on to try and do things better through lockdown and when we come out of it as well. So, of course, we've got to give a nod to this. What do you think about that? You can get your comments in below. How do we improve? What can racing get onto? Hashtag What a Shout, of course. Paul, come to you with this first and foremost. You would have read Tom's piece, of course. And what did you take from it?
All great points, but we're just hamstrung by the government and what they do, because, you know, unless we get people back on the track, and the fact that we've got no owners now, owners can go, but I think they can stay for 35 minutes.
Back to 2. So it's kind of like it was when we were at the Derby meeting. Do you remember?
Yeah. I mean, but it's not an experience for owners, is it? I mean,
No.
they're just going to say, well, no, we're not going to have this, and this could be, you know, this might only be for a month. It might go back to normal.
Shall I counter that though, Kills, and saying that there are some people that can't even go out at all, you know, and yet people are being allowed to go and watch their horses run, you know.
I understand that, but we're talking about the point of how saleable horse racing is to prospective owners at the moment, like, you know, and it isn't at the moment, is it? I mean, that is the big problem. So we need to, you know, and you know, it takes place majority outside, doesn't it? Outside, as we know, is considerably safer than inside. So there doesn't seem to be a great deal of reason that why not. And these places are massive as well, aren't they, racetracks? Like, you know, why you can't have more people in, why you can't let them stay.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's a bit the same as, you know, stopping people from having a game of golf. I mean, I've never got within 50 yards of my playing
You
partner
could
on
go
a
on
golf
about
course.
that for a long
you know
time,
what I mean?
couldn't you?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the whole point is there's loads of spaces, it's outside. But if the government don't let us do it, there's nothing we can do. The only thing, you know, we could hope for is more coverage from ITV. With a little bit of luck, they put in loads of Sundays in the past lockdown. I mean, partly because obviously they lost a lot of meetings when there was a total lockdown. But if we could get a few more Sundays on, that would be really good.
Yeah.
Whether ITV are going to sit there, well, hang on a minute, we're fighting against the Premier League anyway. You know, what's the point? I don't know. But I would say, yeah, more TV coverage would be really, really good.
It's interesting, the generations as well, isn't it? We'll bring Tom in on this as well a little bit, because last lockdown showed us that, I mean, my mum couldn't charge a mobile phone. She's in the mid-70s, you know, but I've got an uncle who's 80 who loves his racing, and he's watched the Shout, he watched, you know, all the shows that we do live. He's been watching Sky. The digital era has really started to be born, hasn't it? And this is a good chance for people. Tom, for example, when you were in lockdown and you were given the gig to tip at these courses that Kills has mentioned that none of us had ever heard of, Fairground or, you know, wherever, you saw your following go right up, didn't you?
Yeah, well, I mean, back in March when the first lockdown started, I think I had around 2,000 Twitter followers, and then within a few months, just by tipping at Fauna Park, Will Rogers having a bit of success on a Monday, you know, with ponies running around for $4,000 and a non-winners of one.
There's nothing else to bet on though, Tom.
Yeah, exactly. And it went all the way up to 5,500 within that. It was so quick. We got so many more people interested in American racing. That's the one big plus of Lockdown 1. And as Kill said earlier, if we can get ITV covering more domestic racing over here. I mean, my girlfriend never watched horse racing before I moved in at the start of lockdown into her flat. And then on a Saturday and Sunday, we were both sat there on the sofa when I wasn't working. Yeah, we won't go that far. No, I mean, watching the racing, and she was like getting involved, and I think she tipped a few winners, and she was like, "Yeah, I picked that one. And it was getting more people into the racing. So ITV coverage is definitely important.
And this weekend in particular, I mean, we could use Kills as a point of balance, can't we? A little bit, but Kills a lot of time. November the 5th, for example. Okay, we're on 6th and 7th this weekend, but this is bonfire night traditionally, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Racing's got a chance now to reach out to an audience where it was usually at the pub or having parties. I don't know.
Yeah, it certainly has. I mean, you know, people are going to want to watch live sport, whatever they can get, aren't they? And it's available. I suppose the Breeders' Cup is available late at night as well. So, you know, and anybody who's got Sky can pick up at the races, can't they? So yeah, it's a good shot. I mean, you're not seeing racing in the best light though, are you? Because you're seeing racing without crowds, you know, and you're not getting any atmosphere. You're not getting any idea of the thrill. But then I suppose people wouldn't be watching it if they were able to go out, would they?
No, exactly.
So a double-edged sword.
Let's go to Pat Cooney then. Pat, you've been going on track a lot, of course, just down to 2 owners now, and they've got to get in, you know, half an hour before the race, out as soon as they possibly can. What does it mean for bookies reps as well, Pat?
Well, you can only go as a bookmaker's rep if you're actually sponsoring on the card these days. So the next time we're sponsoring, I think it's Doncaster on the 12th of December. But, you know, everyone's hands are tied, aren't they? I've been lucky. I was at Wetherby last week, been at Doncaster, Newmarket and Newbury. And I will give it to these tracks in particular. They have really done everything they can. And they've tried to make it as pleasurable an experience as possible. I was with Max McNeil. I was chatting to him at Wetherby. Of course, we know many of his horses. And he said everyone was really first class in their efforts to just try and help the owners as best they can. it's not as it was. Nothing is, but they're all doing their best. So to still win a trophy is still a big deal for these people. Admittedly, you might have to lean over the rail and hand it to them and so forth. And the souvenir photographers aren't going to be as they were, but. Yeah, it's still that everyone's doing their very best, and I think we can only applaud them for that, really.
Yeah, community and spirit in racing is going to be key going through the winter then, as is jumps racing. Racing's been putting on a pinnacle. We're competing with other sports, but you just get the feeling we're going to come out on top. Right, in racing clues, it was Charlie Hall weekend, wasn't it? What a great meeting at Down Royal, and it just happened to be a Melbourne Cup at the weekend as well. Holden Gold Cup as well. And before we go to Cyrname, Paul Nicholls has been having a right old roll. A couple of weeks ago, if you've been watching What a Shout, you gave your big call. I don't know. What price is into now? Grenadine came out and won the Holden Gold Cup.
Yeah, he's about 16 to 1 with the champion chase. I don't think that is unreasonable.
You put him up at 50s.
Yeah, he was at 50 then. He still needs to improve. Obviously, he's just won a handicap and he's only just won it. But I think he's better than the bare result there. He didn't go very fast. He pulled early. He was at the back.
You
he
can be a bit annoying, you know.
Why?
You find these horses, don't you? And you came up with this Grenadine, and I thought, hang on a minute, it's 15 to 1. It was Imperial Aura last year. Ding the bell for Imperial Aura. He won at Carlisle, by the way. I'm not going to get you talking about that. Plenty of time to get into that. You've got another one here.
He's got a long way to go, isn't he? Let's be honest. But he's earned the chance to run in the Tingle Creek. Now, obviously, Paul Nicholls won the Holden Gold Cup with some good horses, including horses that went on to go and win the Tingle Creek. He's taken a step in the right direction. I think he wants a stronger pace to run at than he got in the Holden Gold Cup, and I think Paul's a little bit concerned that he might end up 1 2 1/2.
Yes, he wasn't as bullish as he can be after the race, was he?
No, but I mean, he probably takes into account. Well, actually, I thought he was going to win that race a lot easier than he did, but things didn't drop that well for him during the race. Well, he did look in a bit of trouble, not for not going well, but for being in the wrong position off a steady gallop, and then. The leader held, Tom Scudamore gave the leader a great ride, Moonlight. He gave that a great ride. And he just nicked a couple of lengths between the second last and the third last. And he did look for a minute, but then he did pick up. He picked up really nicely.
He's got great attitude, the horse.
He has, yeah.
And one thing he does kills is win.
Yeah, exactly. Again, he's a winner.
But listen, we're giving you a nod to that, and fair play. I'll say you're a bit annoying, but in a great way, and cheers. Lots of people have backed him out there, so they'll be thanking you for that. They have done. He was, of course, bullish after Cyrname's demolition job. I think we can say that in the Charlie Hall. We were against him because the ticks that he didn't have at the price we said about that. We had Gav Lynch on the show, and he said, you lose 20 at 5 to 2.
This is it. I was saying, I was on, I was going on Twitter, hang on a minute. I've been opposing this horse all week, but now he's actually the only bet in the race at these prices. I mean, it got ridiculous. He went out to bigger than 4 to 1 in places, and it's just hold on a minute. This is a horse that if this race was the other way round, over a couple of furlongs shorter, he's literally a 3-on chance. And he counted his way through it. He jumped to state as a giant. We can say categorically now that left-handed is not a problem.
Zero problem.
We're not necessarily 100% copper-bottomed on stamina purely because they didn't go very fast.
If you get home in a Charlie Hall, you want to be getting home in a King George, don't you?
Well, you want to be getting home in a King George, but you've got to remember they didn't go very fast. He was able to race, I say within himself. He was very fresh.
He was.
And the winning time was, I think it was less than 5 seconds faster than the other 3-mile handicap in the race, which was won by a horse rated 115 and carrying a pound more. You know what I mean? So we're not talking about a real test at the trip. I mean, okay, he wasn't stopping, you know what I mean? But he will have a far greater test at the trip at Kempton. But at the same time, when he ran at Kempton last year, he was beaten before stamina should really have been an issue. So you've got to give him the benefit of the doubt. And that, I think he goes there with a chance. You've got to bear in mind that, his stablemate has got some red-hot form at that track, having won it for the last 2 years. It isn't going to be easy. It isn't going to be easy. Clandezovo, yeah. But he's definitely a major player, and he will, win or lose, he will go a lot closer this year than he did last year.
Well, it was a great moment for the Saturday sport, that's for sure. Pat Cooney, you watched the race with Paul Nicholls. Give us the lowdown.
Yeah, well, I was lucky enough to be with Paul for the race, and we kind of knew really after he jumped the first 3. You think, well, I suppose he'll probably go and win. He was just travelling and just going so smoothly. As Tom alluded to there, the worry was last time he threw, he'd had a heavy fall, but he just jumped, travelled, and it's like everyone says, prices dictate opinion. At 6-4, you'd rather lay him. At 7-2, he was a bet. And it was just always going well. Paul did say to me before the race, I did say to Paul, he's often a bit more buzzier in the parade ring. And he said, I just think he's matured. He was a bit of a tearaway when he was first with the yard. He didn't have too many breaks and he wore a hood. But now he just trots around the ring like an old sheep. I just think he's grown up and is just a sensible man now rather than an impetulant boy, maybe. But yeah, he was very, very impressive. He was given an uncontested lead. These races are going to be harder to win for him, but there's no denying it was a top class performance. And if he was going to get beat, maybe the ground was going to catch him out on the running. But he's won handily enough, and it sets up well for Kempton.
Quick nod, boys, because we could go on and on and on about the racing. So much to talk about. Melbourne Cup, unbelievable. Tuesday morning, Joseph O'Brien does it again. Twilight payment, TC. The 7-year-old goes and makes all. Second fastest Melbourne Cup of all time. 1, 2, 3 for the domestic horses. Prince of Arran. Wow. Friend of the show, Charlie Fellows, horse of a lifetime.
Yeah, Jai McNeil was brilliant on Twilight Payment, wasn't he? It just set the stall out early, went quick. Most of the way around, you'd have been like, well, this horse has gone far too quick. McNeil's just taken the pace into his own hands. He's got first Melbourne Cup, I think it was. It's gone to his head, but no, brilliant ride, perfect ride. Tiger Moth ran a nice race in second, very unexposed horse.
Yeah.
Obviously, was short in the market, but he still ran a nice race. And Prince of Arran, what can you say? What a horse he has been. And with a clear run and potentially if he was closer to the leaders, he might have won the race eventually.
Nice to go and spank the Aussies in their own backyard.
Melbourne Cup, everyone goes mad about it, doesn't it? But let's face it, average European stayers win it.
Yeah.
Come on.
I will leave you with that note. Right then, first big race preview for you. Let's go to the 3 o'clock at Wincanton. It is the Elite Hurdle. And no Goshen kills, the first thing to say about this. It means that So Royale's got a great chance, doesn't he, to win the race for a second time?
So Royale had a great chance anyway. He won it by 8 lengths back in 2016. And it's scary to think he's only 8. You'd think he's been around for ages, don't you? But yeah, it's lost a lot of its interest because Goshen isn't in the race. He obviously, Gary Moore thinks the ground's a bit on the lively side for him. So well, had his wind up, came back, won the World Champion Hurdle really easily. He gets weight off Solo, who has it to prove. And
been gelded Solo, hasn't he? And
yeah.
4-year-olds have won the race recently. But
4-year-olds have won the race. Obviously, grandson. Fusel Raffles won it last year from grandson. So I don't see how he gets beat. There's a bit of pace in the race. It's all set up for him.
That's succinct.
Should be odds on.
Yeah, TC.
Yeah, no, completely with Kills. Foss last 3 appearance was really good. Stand out on RPRs. Solo's got to give him £3, and the RPRs are nowhere near. So Royale's loves this course and distance. Won the race in 2016. Best horse in the race.
I thought Master Debonair was interesting. I was on his Ascot form. He got outstayed, didn't he, on his final start? But he's got to give him away. And the Tizard horses have looked like they've been needing a run.
Yeah, it looks like he's starting to hit a bit of form, though. I mean, I would watch him very closely over the next 2 or 3 weeks. I think he's going to start banging in some winners, but they've been slow to go.
Yeah. Okay, Pat Cooney, give us a market update on your idea of the winner of the Elite.
Well, So Royal is very strong, around about 11-10 at the moment. I'm in the Solo camp, though. I was at Kempton the day he trotted up, and before the race, most people were saying, he won't be at his best 2 miles around Kempton. Well, this is, if anything, it's a shorter trip. It's a little bit less at Wincanton, but he was very impressive that day. Didn't work out for him in the Triumph. I think, given what they paid for him, he was no bargain. I know that much, but maybe he's just going to be the class act of the race. He's given up fitness and weight, so it won't be easy for him. And I get why So Royal is just going to shorten up in the market. But it's one of these things, a bit like Cyrname, same colours, ironically, where he might just be a better price come the off.
Message from the team, pretty much then. Keep it simple in the Elite. Sticking at Wincanton then, the 3:35, the Badger Beers, not ales. I'm an ale drinker. Beer just in general, isn't it? Badger Beers, but a great long-standing handicap. Wide open this year. Nichols looks like he holds the key, but you're opposing.
I'm opposing him. Might be daft. I mean, Paul Nichols has won it 10 times in total. He's won the last 3. Present Man won 2 of them, and he's back on his favoured ground, having won with Bryony Foster at Chepstow, so he's fit well. There's plenty of pace in the race. He's got My Way, who's right down the bottom of the weights. I think Present Man's probably the pick of his. But I've been all over Champagne Court. I think he's been absolutely laid out for this. Jeremy Scott ran him over hurdles. First time in his life over 3 mile as well. Now you could look at that race and say, well, he clearly didn't stay because he travelled like a dream throughout it. It was still just about in front, jumping the second last, but then faded away and finished 9th. I think that was just a case of this was needed. He's a better chaser than he is a hurdler anyway because he jumped so well. And if you look back at his novice form when he ran on really strongly into 4th, in a Martin Pipe. He ran on even more strongly into third in a race at Sandown on the last day of the season when he completely lost his position, turning for home as they quickened. And he went from about second back to ninth, and then ran on again into third. I think he's going to stay 3 mile. I don't think the ground is any issue to him whatsoever. And I think if he sits off what looks like is going to be a fairly frenetic pace, although, in the past they have let Bryony Frost get away with it on Present Man. But if he sits not far off it and he jumps as well as he jumped as a novice, I think he'll go very close.
First ever What a Shout we did, which seems like an aeon ago. Nick Schofield was the opening guest and he told us to keep looking out for Champagne Court. There's a big one in him. This could be it, according to Kills. TC.
Yeah, well, I'm just turning into a parrot this morning of Kills, aren't I? I'm Champagne Court as well.
Into the Breeders' Cup.
No,
You're coming back.
I put him up in the RFL on Monday. He was a much bigger price then than he is now. I could just echo everything that Kills said. But the key point here for me is an angle that I like over jumps is second run back from a wind up. That's an angle I love. I don't like first time back after wind up. Horses still don't know if they can breathe or not. Second run back after wind up, that's a clear angle for me.
We can have our own topic on that. It did seem last year that was a bit of an angle. I agree. Pat, we're actually agreeing on this. There's a 4-year-old in the race. Would you believe it?
Yeah, and that's the one I actually fancy. Kitty's Light. You look at it, 4-year-old win a real tough handicap. But what's not to like? Christian Williams certainly knows the time of day. This horse comes in good form. 10 stone 2, and then you get Jack Tudor, the excellent Jack Tudor, taking £5 off. Kitty's Light 9 stone 11. He's getting an awful lot of weight, and he's a fit horse. He would have been mapped out for this race by Christian Williams, I'm sure. I get the Champagne Court. Yeah, I thought he was a real eye catcher last time, and how to oppose the Nichols horses, of course. But give me the one running loose with 9 stone 11. Kitty's Light at a price for me.
Yeah, I'm with you. We liked that horse, so I can tell you at Exeter. And watch back that in your members section. Jack Tudor gives it an absolute worldie of a ride. If he can wind him up 2 out, he'll be bang there. Big calls then time. Let's get to Pat Cooney. You can take the floor.
My big call, really, fellas, is going to be the enthusiasm of Paul Nichols at Wetherby on Saturday. You think, he's been champion trainer so many years, and he just wins all these big races. Winning that Charlie Hall chase meant an awful lot to him with Cyrname. And you just look at his strike rate. He's come out the gates very quickly this season. I think he's at 30%. And he's already got a big, healthy lead over Nicky Henderson in that trainer's title. And it's a little bit like the Irish title, isn't it? Gordon Elliott gets the quick start. Willie Mullins catches him in the last couple of weeks of the season. I'm not so sure Nicky Henderson will catch Paul Nichols this time around. Paul's got his horses fit and fancied and rearing to go, and they've got strength and depth across the board. So the trainer's title, I think, might be very, very interesting this year, but no denying Paul Nichols, he definitely wants to win it, that's for sure.
Enthusiasm then.
Fair enough, given the prize money that's around at the moment, and it's so much lower, that 300 grand means it actually an awful lot more as well, doesn't it?
Oh, quite right.
There isn't so much to fight for.
Are you feeling enthusiastic this week?
I'm always feeling enthusiastic, mate. I've got, my big call's a bit of a weird one. I got a long-term shout.
Another one?
Unfortunately, there isn't going to be any anti-post betting on this, but there was a horse running at Newbury on Thursday that ran behind Dusart, who is a horse to follow. Nicky Henderson's half-brother to Simon Sig. But Dane Hill Kodiak, former top flat horse who once beat the Arc winner, Woolgeist, in the Cumberland Lodge at Ascot. He made his reappearance after 530 days off as a 7-year-old, and you think, this coming over hurdles at that late stage of your career, it's all going to go wrong. And he did get beaten a fair way in the end, but he only got beaten because he wasn't fit.
He jumped all right, didn't he?
He jumped lovely. For a horse that had never seen a hurdle before, I thought he jumped particularly well. There's a long-term race in it, and I'm going to name it. It's the Scottish Champion Hurdle at Ayr.
Welcome to What a Shout, TC.
In April. That is it. He's going to get in there. They'll get him handicapped off a mark of about 135, which will put him about £30 well in on his flat form. And he'll go a 4-1 favourite, and he'll cruise to the front and win. There you go.
You've got your crystal ball out there, Kills. Happy days. Well, he's got it right with Graham T. No, there you go. All right. A nod to Ayr in April. TC.
Yeah, my big call is that John Joe O'Neill, the trainer, not the jockey, will record 100 winners for this season, April to April. He hasn't recorded 100 winners since 2014-15. The last 3 years, he's recorded 64, 56 and 61 winners. but his young talents in his stable are red hot. Soaring Glory, who was the horse behind Dusart and the race of Danehill Kodiak ran in.
It's a county hurdle winner, that, isn't it?
Exactly. We've got Orisdale in there. We've got Tegerek. There's Locks Corner. I could keep going on. There's so many. He's already had 30 winners this season. The jumps are just kicking into gear. I think he's going to record 100 winners this year.
Yeah, his son's a rather talented rider to have on board as well.
Brogan as well now, by the looks of it. He's riding for him as well. I was talking. He's a 4 winners in the last fortnight from about 7 rides.
The Brogan brothers are highly thought of, aren't they? Yeah, okay. So John Jarnell, big shout there. He was looking after the potential title, wasn't he, a couple of years ago? Well, he usually goes missing in February, of course, with gearing up to one big meeting. Maybe it'll be different this time around. Gav Lynch was on the show last week and he was moaning, Kills. Do you remember about horses not going around the outside in soft ground races? And he said that Patrick Mullins is the only one that does it in bumpers. Well, I thought, all right, I'm going to have a little look at this. And in my big shout, all-weather racing is just kicking in. There's only one all-weather track where you can possibly get away with going on the inside and winning. And it's probably Chelmsford, maybe Kempton. Sometimes the rail at Kempton is strong when they re-wax the course. You can't do it at Southwell. You cannot do it at Wolverhampton. And you certainly cannot do it in Lingfield. Lavender's Blue. Do you remember that ride in Listed? Oh, my Lord, watch that back. Good horses get beaten on the inside. You get these big jockeys coming to the all-weather now. They're all going to have to stick around. SDS or, Ryan Moore, all of them. Do not go on the inside. It's slower. It's slower there. Good horses get beaten on the inside.
Yeah, it's one of those things, though. If everybody decides to go on the outside, it'll be a nice free route for the one that stays there.
Hey!
And it'll be all changed.
Yeah, I mean, it can happen, but...
The point is they run into a hell of a lot of trouble, don't they?
Yeah.
For a start. I don't know whether I buy that it's slower on the inside.
Lingfield, it definitely is, 100%.
But, we'll see. You've seen plenty of horses that manage to steal it from the front and stay on the inside.
Yeah.
So I think for me, it's just a case of there's a lot of trouble. Everybody wants to go around the inside. It's the shortest route. But obviously, there's not an awful lot of room.
I
don't know.
Started. I've been betting.
I don't know. I mean, literally,
Wolverhampton recently.
Literally, look, if it's cold, but the ground isn't rock hard, then I'm watching the jumpers rather than the all-weather nonsense.
Anyway, whatever kills. There are your big calls. So there were the big calls. Talking of big names, we promised you one. It's a legend. Bob Baffert, the Arizona boy, come good, gone to California. Basically 15 Breeders' Cup winners, the last 2 Triple Crown winners. I caught up with Bob in the week. Check this out on Skype, see what he had to say all things Breeders' Cup.
Okay, so this is Dave Orton live from his living room. You can see me. Look, this is how these things are happening. It's 2020, the year of COVID, and Skype is the way forward. But that means we can go further afield. And I'm absolutely delighted to say, there he is, the living legend himself, Bob Baffert, all the way from the office in Kentucky, Bob.
I'm here in Kentucky, just waiting for the games to begin.
Now, when does the games begin? Because we obviously know it as usually being a Saturday night Breeders' Cup meeting, but now we've got the Friday, of course. Is there a Thursday card, for example, at Keeneland for you to get stuck into as well?
No, it's 2 days. It's Friday is they run it's like the juveniles, the 2-year-olds, upcoming stars. They run the Juvenile Breeders' Cup, fillies and the colts and turf.
Yeah, now before we go into your runners, Bob, we made it 15 Breeders' Cup wins. I think it's just D. Wayne Lucas, isn't it, who's the record holder, but you're not far behind. Our very own Aidan O'Brien's on 12 as well, so remarkable what Aidan's been able to do over there as well. But you're obviously hoping to add to your tally. You've got fantastic chances to do that. We know that, but let's have a little talk about yourself, Bob. How have you found the year, first and foremost, this crazy, weird year? Kentucky Derby in September. How have the horses been? Have you had to change your training regime?
No, I mean, it back in March, it looked like disastrous, with the Derby being postponed. First, I thought they were going to just cancel, and that would have been horrible. And, but, we got lucky. We got it. We snuck it in September. Belmont first, Derby, then Preakness. So, we just feel fortunate that, I was really loaded for Bear in March, and then I had a couple of my good horses, they got hurt. And all of a sudden, but we managed to pull it out with Authentic in the Derby. So, he sort of, and I this year I've never had so loaded up with older horses, and, a lot of the racing was canceled. The big pots the purses were slashed in half. So, but at the end of the day, what's happened in 2020, it's been an up and down year, but we're here, and this is our moment to shine one more time.
Yeah, I like it. Like we feel that absolutely. The UK, we feel like we've been putting on a great show, and all the protocols, racing comes through and lifts the public spirits, doesn't it? And Bob, let's talk about some of your great horses. Arrogate, of course, we know so well over here. We saw him in Dubai. Of course, that incredible win in the Breeders' Cup as well. Yeah, you've had American Pharaoh, of course, and Justify most recently. 2 Triple Crowns, unbelievable scenes. We don't know when we'll see that done again. But you've got some really, really strong hand. Let's maybe just go straight into the Friday, if you don't mind, Bob. And of course, Princess Noor is a filly we're all wanting to hear about. She's unbeaten. Would she be top of your class?
Yeah, she's a filly that, you know, she's unbeaten, untested, wins in hand. But it's a pretty tough race. There's some nice fillies in there, and this is her chance to prove her numbers. They don't rack up as well as some of the other competitors because everything she's won, she's been geared down. You know, she wins in second gear, so this is the toughest group she's run against. So I really think she's a top class filly. She's a favorite. A lot of gamblers are going against her because of, you know, they go by the sheet numbers and all that. She doesn't stack up. But what I've seen in the mornings, I really, unless those other fillies are just superstars, I just like her in that position.
So this is in, of course, at the Breeders' Cup, Juvenile Fillies. You won that in 2007, Bob, with Indian Blessing. How does she compare?
Yeah, I've won it with Silver Bullet Day, Indian Blessing, and every time I brought a filly of this caliber, I've won it.
That's what we like to hear. Yeah,
I feel good about it, but you know, there's you know, 2 other fillies in there that are coming off of big wins too. One of them won here, but I just, you know, I haven't, you know, when they haven't run again, you know, you put them all together, you never know, but I just feel pretty good about her.
You've got, of course, in the juvenile for the Colts as well, you've got a really interesting horse in what looks like a hot race. And Bob, this is Classio, of course. And now, how's he come out of his debut success at Santa Anita? That was just the maiden, right? I mean, looks like he's got loads of speed. Guessing from gate 3, you'll be looking to go forward. This is an interesting ploy, Bob. There's just the one run next to his name. He's up against some hot pots.
This is the only horse I'm running as vulnerable because he's had one out, hasn't been 2 turns. You've got a standout 2-year-old in there, Jackie's Warrior. We're drawn right outside of him in the 8, which is good because he's still green and Jackie's Warrior is fast and he's a horse to beat, so we can sort of lap onto him around there. But he's a big, beautiful 2-turn looking horse. He shipped well. I want to see how he shipped, how he got here. And so far he looks really good on the track. He's still green. He's going to have to leave there. He's going to, you know, fortunately he's got enough speed to stay out of trouble. And the break is the most important because you're braking right there in the turn. So you have to get over right away. If he doesn't break and gets shuffled behind, I can just walk to my car and go to dinner early.
Well, it is a slightly quieter Friday for you, Bob, isn't it? But on the Saturday, of course, it starts to get very meaty indeed. And the first race for us that we'll be covering over here will be the filly and mare sprint, you know, on the dirt. And Gamine is a central horse to everyone's thinking, I think, Bob. In the Kentucky Oaks, she led. Was it the distance maybe? Has it always been the plan to maybe try her in the Kentucky Oaks, come back for this 7-furlong trip?
It's a distance. You know what? She is just brilliant going 1 turn. 2 turns, those have been her worst races. She struggles going 2 turns because she has to slow down in the turn. Her weapon is her speed. She just gets her running and just puts her competition away. She's facing some really nice fillies. She's facing last year's Kentucky Oaks winner. I would have liked to have been drawn outside, you know, where she could sort of relax. But if she breaks well, she's pretty brilliant. So I'm counting on her class to get her there, and I feel good about her.
I mean, the chances of her leading Serengeti Empress, I mean, of anyone leading that one, Bob, is pretty tough, isn't it? And she is a horse that we know is going from the front. You don't think that's integral to her chance, then?
Well, I think Serengeti Empress. I've seen her races. You have to really ask her to go that fast. Where Gamine does it like you don't have to ask her to do it. She does it. She's a big, long striding, brilliance. Those brilliant like American Pharaoh. They get next to horses. They try to go with them, and he would break their hearts if they went with him. So she did that in the Acorn. They went with her early, and she just breaks their heart. So I'm hoping for that.
Yeah, I think you've summed it up there, Bob. We can see the confidence. Let's talk about the Classic, if we would, Bob. This is, of course, a race that we associate with your barn and your success in it. And you've got 3 this year. Absolutely fantastic. Now, Improbable, of course, you've got Authentic, the 3-year-old, and Maximum Security as well. We've heard you call them the Dream Team, Bob. You must be going into this Classic pretty confident of taking in the Cup.
Well, I mean, there are 3 really established horses. You've got, Maximum Security, last year's 3-year-old champion, Kentucky Derby winner. Unfortunately, he was disqualified. It's come back and run some big races. You've got Improbable. He's coming off. He was the Kentucky Derby favorite last year.
Yeah.
Is matured. He's an older horse, coming off of 2 big wins. I mean, he's the favorite. He probably should be. He's going to be tough. He's not one-dimensional. He can sit if he can break well. And you've got Authentic, Kentucky Derby winner, very immature, is really just coming into his own. I mean, so it's really hard to separate them because, I think Maximum Security on a given day, any of these horses on a given day can beat each other. And you've got, and Tiz the Law, I think Tiz the Law is the other horse in there that, he's very well established, so we have to beat him.
A little bit of gloss came off him last time, but we've been wowed by Tiz the Law so far. It looks like a really hot edition of this race, Bob. Is that the vibe over there in Keeneland at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good race. There's some other nice hard-knocking horses in there, but those 4 horses, they're gonna, you've got it's a cream of the crop. I mean, it's very rare you find them all getting together at the same time. Usually this time of year, they're tired, they're going out form, but being with all the COVID and the holdups and all that, they're all here, they're all ready, and so they're all ready to rock and roll.
I hate to tell you to put one at the top of the tree, Bob, but I'm sensing from your voice maybe Authentic. You think he's coming in here on his A game, of course. Arrogate, American Pharaoh, Bayern, they all won it for you as 3-year-olds. Is he the one that you're really sweet on, or?
Well, I think when you have an older horse, I mean, Improbable, Maximum Security, they've been through a lot. Authentic is getting there. He's the maturity. He was a really late foal, just getting there, but he's fast. And so, I mean, I watch him train, and it's hard for me I'll even ask my rider, what do you think? And my rider will say, I don't know, man. It's tough. So that's a good sign, that they're on their game, and all you can do is, you go by class, who they've beaten and all that. So, but if you're gonna, you have to use all 3 in your exotics.
Well, there we are. We'll get you at that, I think, Bob. Just a word on the weather, if you don't mind, at Keeneland, Bob. There was a lot of rain up till Thursday, wasn't there? We were obviously interested in the turf track, of course, being the Europeans. They were watering, I believe, at one point, but it's a fast raining track, isn't it, the turf there?
I have no idea about the turf.
Fantastic. I have to say, Bob, we don't expect to see you at Royal Ascot with a favourite anytime soon. We'd love to see you over at Royal Ascot with a runner on the turf. Is that ever going to happen, Bob?
You never know. I'll never say never, but the Keeneland turf course, it looks very green and luscious, and it looks good. So I haven't seen any horses on it, but we're lucky. We got a break in the weather, and the weather's going to be beautiful. It's going to be in the 60s, perfect horse racing. It's just beautiful.
Okay, Bob. Listen, thanks very much for joining us here on What a Shout. This is a special moment. We've got a lot of US fans over there, and as I said to you off air before we came on, this is a great opportunity for Brits. We're going into lockdown over here with COVID. We're hoping it's not going to last too long, but there's going to be some new fans, I think, on Friday and Saturday night especially, and it's the classic that we're looking forward to. But if you had to give us one, Bob, that you're really, really excited about, the one that when you're getting off the call that you want to go and see down at the barn, who is it?
You know what? It's tough because I love Princess Noor, the colt, the 2-year-old colt. He's the only one that but he could pull it off. But it's asking a lot if he gets away. And the classic, and they drew right 8, 9, 10. They're all next to each other, so they have to get away. But I really came here thinking I could win them all. and usually when you think you can win 3 or 4 or 5, you're lucky if you win one, and then I have one earlier in the card called Merneath. I like her too. She's an undercard in some little race, and so I feel really good about all my horses.
There's a true professional for you out there, viewers, giving us a horse on the undercard as well. Everyone's scurrying around now on their race cars to find out exactly who it is. Bob Baffert, thanks so much for joining us. It's great to see you looking so well, Bob. I hope the family stay well. We'll see you in 2021. Maybe at Royal Ascot.
Maybe.
I'll get a top hat ready for you. Bob Baffert, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, there you can see. Listen, we had to get that together pretty quickly, but what an absolute pleasure, and thank you, Bob, for coming on. He was a real good fan of the What a Shout treatment as well. He's a big sport. Legendary. He doesn't like the turf, Keels.
Oh, it's obviously crazy. Yanks are crazy, aren't they? We've seen that with the election going on. They're all loonies, aren't they?
This isn't the clip we'll show him, by the way. But Tom, Princess Noor, you got the feeling there he's really, really keen on that. You are...
Yeah, not keen at all. She's my layer of the Breeders' Cup. I don't like her at all, especially at the prices. Shouldn't be favourite. Should be about 5-1, not 15-8 over here. Probably going to be shorter in the US as well.
TC, I'm trying to get into Royal Ascot next year. He's not going to come back on the show. You're absolutely dicing him here.
Yeah, her form just isn't as good as other horses in the race. Her speed figures are poor.
Then these are about buy-in figures, aren't they?
Yes.
Just a very quick word on why you look at the speed figures in American racing.
Speed figures tell you how fast a horse is, simply enough. And if the speed figures are better, are higher, triple-digit speed figures, 100 plus.
They go flat out, don't they?
Yes. From the minute go, they go flat out.
You can trust these figures, is what I'm saying. It's not like Lingfield,
No.
they crawl, and then sprint.
Exactly, yeah. You get races over here that are run at a crawl, they get small figures, and then they're just out of proportion. In America, they always go flat out from the gate. That's how the races are run, and the speed figures are very reliable.
And Bob alluded to the fact she hasn't quite run the figure yet, but he's just got that vibe about it.
They tell you how fast a horse. They don't say how fast a horse is. They tell you how fast a horse has been. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, this horse could be faster. But we just haven't seen it yet. And
she's 1. What's going to beat it then, just quickly?
I like 2 in the race. V-Quist at 8-1. I think actually maybe 8-1 might have gone
in your price-wise in the paper today? Yeah.
2 in the Breeders' Cup price-wise. Sorry, V-Quist, who was 8-1. Joel Rosario should go to the front. And if there is a big pace collapse up front, then the likes of Princess Noor, V-Quist, they're out of the office, all going to go forward. Then Crazy Beautiful, a big price, 25-1 for Ken McPeak. He's had a few runners over here. He's a brilliant trainer. He loves it over at Keeneland as well. She's going to fly late. She's powerful at the finish. Stamina and abundance. She'll be the one at a big price to close from deep off the pace.
Honestly, he could go on about this all the time, but this is What a Shout. We're on the clock pretty much. But listen, this Friday night, it kicks off. What are you doing? Probably not a lot, I imagine. Tune in. Right then, let's go stateside and say howdy to the Breeders' Cup Mile. Now, Tom, over the mile, we've only won this 3 times in the past 10 years, haven't we? Obviously, everyone thinks that this is a bit like the Ryder Cup, don't they, this meeting? But actually, we don't win that many races.
No, not at all. The Breeders' Cup Mile, as you say, the Turf Mile and the Juvenile Turf are the 3 races that the Europeans potentially can win. We have a reasonable record in those. Every other race, scrap it.
Okay, so we've got a reappearing winner, Uni. You're a big fan of her. I like her as well. She broke the track record last time. Can she do it again, or is there a European horse that can topple her?
No, Uni will do it again. This is a confident shout. She's going to be part of my nap, which we'll get to later. Not the full nap, but part of it. She was blistering at Santa Anita last year, wasn't she? Her turn of foot was unbelievable. Chad Brown's done a great job with her. She's 11 out of 21 in her career. There's going to be plenty of pace in here with Halliday and Factor This, both drawn wide. They're going to have to go to the lead. They're going to set it up for her.
Is that going to scupper Circus Maximus? He's in the 1 poke, isn't he?
Ryan Moore's going to be clever. I think he's going to know that these two horses have got more early speed than Circus Maximus, even though he's drawn one. He has to go, because if he doesn't go, he's just going to get stuck back, shuffled to the rear, and that'll be his chance over. So he has to go, but he's going to sit in behind the speed. I think he has every chance. He's going to get first crack at the leaders. Whether he's got the same kick as Uni, I don't think so.
Before we go to kills, then I'll give you my shout as well. Pat Cooney, give us a market update on this. Where are the Europeans holding their position?
Well, at the moment, Kamiko's favourite at 7-2, because he's had 6 hard races, though, hasn't he? And you look at the second favourite is Uni, last year's winner, of course, and then it's 15-2 8 bar. The likes of Siskin 8-1, Circus Maximus 12, Safe Voyage 12. A lot of these European horses are bigger prices than they normally are when they run over here. But you just get the feeling, like, I'm with the panel, really. I thought Uni was back in business last time over the course. Stall 12 won't be a problem for her. And you would imagine they kept her in training to win another Breeders' Cup. And I can see her being shorter in the market. And I think she may even be vying for favouritism come 8:15 out there as well. Kamiko, tough horse, but he's had some tough times.
Who's top of Euros then?
Well, you look at this, it's very hard to believe that a horse that ran in the Derby is running in a Breeders' Cup mile. Kamiko is a staying miler. I guarantee you that if he ran in the Breeders' Cup turf, he would get a better finishing position than he gets in the mile. Because this is not about stamina.
So you're
look at the
against
horses. Yeah, look at the horses that win this race. Your Dome Drivers, Royal Academy, Sprinter, Expert Eye a few years ago, 7 furlong Jersey winner. Yeah. Right, it's speedy horses. You're not talking about staying milers.
Safe Voyage is going to love it.
Safe Voyage is going to love it, but it's firm ground. It's firm ground. The obvious one for me of the Euros is Siskin. I'm not the horse's biggest fan, but I've never thought he was an out-and-out miler. I thought he wants to test of speed. This is going to be a test of speed. Yeah. It's going to suit him. Whether he's good enough, I do not know. But I think he'd be best of the Euros. If there was a best of the Euros market, that would be the one for me.
Siskin is fascinating. Before we get a line on him and the worry about him, you were nodding at me and looking at me throughout that when you
He's a bit of a nut of the stalls,
Well, he is. That's the issue, isn't it, TC? This test looks to be ideal. If he gets luck, you could see him taking this out, couldn't you? But the stalls is the worry.
Yeah, he's got more speed of any other European in this race. And Kamiko, I think Pat was saying, was 7-2 favourite. In America, there's no way he'll be anywhere near 7-2. We're talking 7-1. The favourite in this race will be Ivar, probably, and Uni will be second favourite.
Yeah, of course, there is, all lots of ways to bet this. Just when you thought this Breeders' Cup wasn't interesting, we've reeled you in. Happy days.
It's turf race, isn't it?
Kills, he's all over the Breeders' Cup. 9:33, then one of 3 Breeders' Cup races we're previewing for you. It is the turf, a race the Europeans have had a lot of success in. The first thing to say about this is, of course, the class is at 10:18. Kentucky time, a lot kinder to us, so that's going to be great for viewing as well. You'll be viewing it. Who do you think is going to come out on top?
Let Harnawa. If you look at her form figures,
Dermot Weldon,
it's like 1-1, last, 1-1-1. Guess which time I backed her? She was my bet of the meeting at Champions Day at Ascot last year. All the money was on before. Went into the parade ring and I was looking at her and I was thinking, she don't look right to me. She was just her demeanour. And I know nothing about horses and I was like really worried because she was rubbish. Tailed off. Unbeaten since.
This year, of course,
unbeaten since. Skipped it this year. She wins on good ground. She wins on every ground. She's just a real machine.
Her 3 wins, Kills, have worked out particularly well. She had Cayenne Pepper, of course, who goes in the fillies and mares earlier on. Actually, a live chance if she overcomes the draw. It is win. The Vermeil worked out really well.
Yeah. Alpine Street and beating Alpine Star. Well, she's just really, really good. Whether she's quite as good as Magical, I don't know. But yes. I would take a chance just because she's flying and she doesn't know how to run a bad race at the moment.
Yeah. Aidan O'Brien's got a great history of this race, of course, Tom. Mogul, who let's face it, had he been able to run in the Arc, a lot of people thought he was coming into it at the right time. This is a horse this time last year that was supposed to win the Vertem Futurity. The wheels came off. He's come back bouncing, isn't he? Ryan Moore, I think, had to ride Magical, but do you give Mogul a chance of toppling the Great Mare, or?
Not from the draw, I'd say. I think
10,
the Arc
isn't he?
Yeah, in 10, yeah. I think the Arc would have been a better position in hindsight. Now they know the draw. Magical's the clear favourite in this, the one with the biggest chance. I would also be with Tarnawa though. The US aren't much cop, we should just point out there. The Europeans should dominate this race, and I won't be saying that about many races of the Breeders' Cup, that's for sure. Channel Maker will make the speed, and then the Europeans should potentially come late and fly.
It's your turn to look at me doing that.
No. Just saying, a mogul is a bit of a big lump to be running around a tight American track.
And from 10 of 10, they're going to have to be savvy, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's magical for me. I'm just such a big fan of her. I think if they repeat the tactics that they did, she's installed 2 TC, isn't she? So I want them to be prominent. You know, when she eyeballed Gayeth, I think if she does that, she'll go one better than running behind Enable, of course, in this race a couple of years ago.
Yeah, she get a nice sit as well, because the inside horse, Arklow, who's very short on the morning line in the US, is 5-1, I believe. He's not going to go off anywhere near that over here. He shouldn't do either. He's going to take back, and Magical should be able to get a nice rail sit for Run More.
Pat Cooney, who's going to win the turf?
I get Magical, and she's just a straightforward pick, isn't she? But I'm with the fellas. I thought Tarnawa, she seems to be the now filly of the race, and she has won on fast ground before. She's just going forward, getting better with each run. And if you're back in a Dermot well-trained horse that's travelling, you're in good hands, aren't you? He's won Melbourne Cups, Belmonts, and so forth. So if Dermot World's keen to run Tarnawa and keep Christoph Simeon aboard, I think that's quite telling. So I'll go with the progressive Tarnawa as well.
Oh, expect a gamble then. Dermot Wells horse in the turf. Okay then, 10-18. It is the Breeders' Cup Classic, and domestically they think it's a seriously hot edition of the race. Let's just get it out of the way. You'll be in bed at this point, won't you, I think?
Absolutely.
Sober?
I was going to say, apart from Tis the Law, who I know that Tom's been going on about for a while, I haven't heard of any of the other runners.
I bet you what, if you win the mile and you win the turf, I bet you have a couple of quid.
No, sober. So there'll be no misbehaving from me.
I'll be getting a WhatsApp at 10:12, I tell you, saying, aye, that is the law, here he comes. TC, let's go straight to you then. You've heard Bob speaking there. He doesn't really want to split his three, that's understandable.
Yeah, it's understandable. All 3 have chances. They're all positioned out wide. They've got the 3 widest gates. Authentic's going to go to the front, try and repeat the feat of the Kentucky Derby, basically, and try and make all the running. Maximum Security, who left the disgraced Jason Service to join Bob Baffert, he'll be right on the premises as well. Improbable will get the Dream Trip in behind. I don't think any of the 3 will be good enough, though.
Take the floor.
Well, I love Tis the Law. Everyone knows I love Tis the Law. If you follow me on Twitter, if you've read any of my stateside columns, I basically mention him.
It's your favourite horse, isn't it?
Yeah, my favourite horse in training. UK, Ireland, US, Australia, anywhere.
Why is he not Fav then? Because of the Kentucky Derby run?
Yeah, he got beaten last time. It kind of burst the bubble a little bit. I think he ran a great race. He was positioned wide off the bend. The rider of New York Traffic, Paco Lopez, is an absolute monster when he rides. All he does is try to get other horses beaten. He's very aggressive. And he pushed Tis the Law away from the rail, and that cost him the chance because Authentic got an easy lead up front. Only 6 3-year-olds have won the Classic since 2000. Tis Now, Curling, Ravens Pass, and then 3 Bob Baffert horses by an American Pharaoh Arrogate.
Yeah.
If Tis the Law wins this, he'll enter an esteemed Roll of Honour. I hope he wins. I'm on him at 16 to 190 post, but I couldn't be backing him at 3s. I think that's too short.
He has got a massive legion of followers.
The head of the heart isn't ruling the head then.
No.
So,
not at all.
Then. What's the one?
Well, Tom's d'Etat, I think, about 7 to 1. A really improving 7-year-old, Joel Rosario, on board, trained by Albert Stall, who's very shrewd.
He won it with Blame, didn't he?
Yes, he's
Remember the
very
call?
shrewd.
Blame! Yeah.
Zenyatta! Yeah, I love that call. The best call ever in racing, I think. This Tom's d'Etat recorded a 5-timer. He's a really improving 7-year-old. And then last time, he was sent off a short price favourite to win the Whitney, the race that was won by Improbable. Now, Improbable is going to go off much shorter this time than Tom's d'Etat. Tom's d'Etat finished 3rd, was beaten a considerable distance, but stumbled at the start, lost 5 lengths, all momentum. Horse probably overreached, got a slight injury as well. He ran a cracking race to finish 3rd. He wasn't beaten far at all. I could easily see him reverse the form. He's going to get the Dream Trip. They're going to go pretty hard early. Tom's d'Etat at a price. Each way steal, maybe even for win.
Yeah, your contemporary Ron Wood was talking to me about that horse as well. I think he's going to put it up with me. It is improbable for me. I think he gets the Dream Trip. But again, it looks like a serious race. Pat Cooney, what's your take?
I just thought it was quite interesting. Bob Baffert's 3 are drawn 8, 9 and 10. So that makes it a bit problematical maybe for them. I'm with Tom. I love Tis the Law. I think a bonus for him really is that it was 62 days ago when he got beat. The others have had a more recent race. So, but Barclay Tagg will have had plenty of time to get him straight and organised for the race. I think Tis the Law, to me, appeals as the most likely winner. But I couldn't draw a line through any of the front 4 or 5 in the race as well. It's in many respects, it's a non-betting race and just enjoy it for the race it's going to be. It'll be a real treat. But Tis the Law, I think he's got the public following both sides of the pond. I think he'll go a favourite as well.
I think the fact that this isn't post-midnight, Pat, is going to see a bit of feverish punting on this, and I think it's going to be a great race. We're all going to enjoy it. It's the Breeders' Cup Classic. It's at 10:18. Time to bring in the guys at myracing.com then. Welcome back to them for their double this week. Do check out myracing.com. Huge Twitter following and expert analysis and tips you can find on the website as well. And this going to Wincanton in the Rising Stars novice chase galore. He looks like he's a rising star, doesn't he, for Jamie Snowden? And later in the following elite hurdle, they're keeping it simple, was So Royale. Time for the naps then. If you're still with us, it'll be worth it because Tom Collins, 10-point Tom, they called him in lockdown, didn't they? And you've got a double for us.
Yeah, 27-1 double at the current prices. Uni, as I mentioned earlier, in the mile, and the horse that she works with, for Chad Brown, she's been working with her in the mornings at Keeneland and before in New York at Belmont, Rushing Full in the filly and mare turf. Now, Rushing Full's favourite, don't get me wrong, but she's going to get the perfect trip in that race. She's the banker favourite of the meet. For me, Uni's the banker, but not the favourite. She's going to sit just off Mean Mary. She'll win that race. Going on to Uni in the mile, fast pace, late kick, 27-1 double in the back.
2 dames and a double, love it. We put up a double nap, so he's allowed that, isn't he?
Yeah, he's allowed that, but I'm not letting him outdo me by putting up a 27-1. I'll have a double and all, and 100-1 double. Here we go. Champagne Quarter, Wincanton in the Badger Rails, and Surrey Pride. I have not given up on this horse in the November handicap. Definitely didn't go right for him. The ground was unraceable basically at Newbury by comparison to what it's going to be like at Doncaster. They're calling it soft. It's really good.
Who
soft.
rides?
Ray Dawson, taking £3 off.
Spencer was on last time, wasn't he?
Spencer was on last time. The ground was bottomless. Yukon Glen took 14 seconds longer to run over 1.5 miles at Newbury than the Class 2 handicap took to run at Doncaster on the same day, and they called Doncaster heavy. Right, and it wasn't heavy. It was near a good as soft and soft actually, and the ground would be similar. It would be much better for him, and I just think he wants a nice strong run race, which is guaranteed to get in a 22-run race. He's miles better than he showed his last 2 runs.
Okay, a nod to the November handicap, of course. It's still running, absolutely. There's a Troy Town on Sunday as well. Good luck with that. But we can't cram it all in. A nod to Doncaster from you, Pat Cooney.
Yeah, 1:30 Doncaster. What's wrong with Brando? Only just got chinned on the line in the champion sprint at Ascot. That was a Group 1. This is just a listed race. It's soft ground. He's top rated. He wins, doesn't he? It's a big field, but that won't be a problem for him. Brando on soft ground on the back of an excellent run. He'll do for me.
Everyone would love to see him win, I think. Okay, well, I'll keep it simple. Magical in the turf. She just wins. There are your naps. Well, that's all we've got time for then. This week's What a Shout. Well, thanks to Paul Kealy coming back and enduring a bit of stateside action.
Yeah, it's a bit of fun. Got to have a bit of banter about it, haven't you, I suppose? And I've got no choice but to sit at home and watch it anyway.
I guarantee the WhatsApp will be moving. TC, your debut. When was the last time you've seen TC? How will we be watching it, Tom?
Oh, I'll be watching it with a beer in front of the TV tonight on Friday, and then
hot dogs. Do we go that far?
I don't think so, mate. I can't cook a hot dog to save my life.
I tell you what, my Twitter is normally when it comes to the Breeders' Cup after the first race, I send out the message: "Fast away, rails always led." I wonder if that'll happen this time.
Well, absolutely. Yeah, TC, thanks for coming in.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been great fun.
Happy days. Yeah, definitely. Listen, get your questions in for the panellists as we go. They read them through the weekend. You can do that below YouTube, Facebook, or indeed #What a Shout on Twitter. My thanks to Pat Cooney for Bet365.
Yes, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and good luck to Keels with his exotics, his exactors, and his trifectas throughout the whole of the evening.
And that's it from me, Dave Orton, then. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, gamble responsibly. We do have so much racing on again this weekend. There's a bit of everyone. You want to be there. Come the Classic 1018. Don't forget to download the free Racing Post app. You can do that on the App Store or indeed the Google Play Store itself. So, until next week, plenty coming your way, of course, next week. Enjoy the sport.